When people see a multimillionaire pull up in a supercar, the immediate question is always, what do you do? We naturally assume extreme success requires taking on massive amounts of work, building expansive networks, and constantly adding to our daily plates. This is the addition mindset. It's the widespread belief that if you aren't waking up at 4 a.m., stacking a dozen new habits, and saying yes to every networking event in your city, you're falling behind. Think of your life's responsibilities like items in a backpack. If you keep throwing in new commitments, side projects, and obligations without ever taking anything out, the sheer weight of it becomes too heavy to carry. You eventually lose the ability to move forward at all. Bridging the gap from broke to wealthy requires the exact opposite approach. It requires a ruthless audit of your daily defaults and a willingness to simply stop doing things. Progress requires the courage to identify and sever the specific anchors dragging you down. You cannot outrow the weight of commitments that no longer serve your vision. The first layer of subtraction starts with your environment, specifically the people who drain your energy. These are the friends who only call when they need to borrow money or complain, but disappear the second you have a win to celebrate. You can have the most optimistic, driven attitude in the world, but if you step inside a commercial freezer, you'll freeze to death. Your external environment sets your internal thermostat. Protecting that environment also means filtering the input you receive. If someone hasn't achieved the specific result you want, you have to ignore their advice. You want to build a reusable rocket? You listen to Elon Musk. But you don't ask a man married 3 times with 12 kids for advice on how to build a quiet, stable marriage. And you definitely don't compare your Chapter 3 to someone else's Chapter 27. Judging your progress after 6 months in business against a veteran with decades of experience breeds total paralysis. Aggressively defending your focus from unsupportive peers and unqualified mentors clears the friction blocking your growth. Once the external noise is cut, you have to build boundaries around your time. When you agree to every meeting, favor, and shiny new project, your execution becomes so diluted that you eventually let everyone down. Steve Jobs operated on the strict philosophy that true productivity requires the discipline to say no. A person who cannot say no becomes someone whose yes can no longer be trusted. Compulsive scrolling reveals a vacuum of personal vision. A powerful 5-year plan creates a pull so strong that mindless distraction becomes a secondary concern. Every time you give your attention to a random notification, you quietly reject your long-term goals. The deepest layer of subtraction targets the mind itself, starting with the illusion of passive productivity. Buying a book just to display it on a shelf gives you a false sense of accomplishment with zero actual execution. The alternative is acquiring information just in time, rather than just in case. You figure out exactly where you are stuck, read a single resource to solve that specific bottleneck, and then immediately implement the solution. But the absolute fastest way to cripple that momentum is by blaming your situation on others. Complaining the algorithm is unfair, traffic made you late, or a boss ruined your mood. You are literally handing control of your life over to them. You have to decide if you are going to be a reactive creature of circumstance or a proactive creator of circumstance. Controlling your emotional reaction to setbacks allows you to maintain strategic clarity. If a random comment or a minor obstacle can easily tilt your mood, you lose the ability to manipulate the situation to your advantage. Taking total ownership over every outcome preserves your personal leverage. If the fault lies with you, then the power to fix the problem remains in your hands. By stripping away energy-draining relationships, rejecting the distraction of constant notifications, and refusing to play the victim, you clear the board. You create a blank canvas. This chart shows the power of reclaimed bandwidth. Once the noise is gone, you can finally focus your energy entirely on getting 1% better each day. Over a decade, those tiny daily actions compound into a massive exponential spike. And because you are no longer wasting time trying to emulate anyone else's path, you can lean entirely into your own authentic traits. The things you might be insecure about become the exact characteristics that make you stand out from the cluster. Your current situation is just a rough sketch. By applying the power of subtraction, you erase everything obscuring the picture, leaving you completely free to execute your actual vision.